All right, welcome to First and Filoni. Uh, I am your host, Donovan and Filoni, joined always with the one and only Andrew Cooper, who both of us were not good enough to play college football, but dang sure we got opinions on it. And this is your first stop shop for anything college football. Um,
Everybody hates a winner.
for everything college football for two armchair analysts. Um, we just like to have fun with it, guys. So hope you guys enjoy the show as well. But let's get started, man.
Keep your negative comments to yourselves.
Let's go ahead and get started, though. We got week 0 coming up, man. Super
Probably
excited.
shouldn't have done that.
It's been over 200 days without college football, 220 days or something like that without college football. What are you most excited for this season coming up?
Dude, the girls love the girls and the tailgates. Old South football, son. Tailgating to me is the best part. Just watching the atmosphere, everybody coming together, man, for one school. You make a lot of friendships, especially if you got season tickets and all that good stuff. But other than that, man, just watching really good football
Yeah.
is probably the best thing to me.
Yeah, I agree. Just tradition and atmosphere and seeing like the kids have success. Like I think that's just kind of like the best part about it, man. Like we love to cheer them on, and these kids are actually playing for something rather than, I mean, I guess NIL's there with the money, but more so they're playing for their shot to get, life-changing money in the NFL. So okay, but let's go ahead and get started
Well,
here.
I'll tell you another thing I like too. Another thing I like too is like, especially when you go to some of these games in person, later on down the road, if they're a draft pick and they end up having success in the NFL, you can always go back and say, man, I saw that kid dominate in college for 2 years. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um I mean, EJ Manuel, I remember watching him versus Virginia Tech. I thought he was going to be the next great thing, but he didn't turn out too hot. But just stories like that. The EJ Manuels, the Jalen Samuels, and the Philip Rivers, Torrey Holt,
Matt Days,
Matt Days, all of them.
Bradley
Then you
Chubbs.
get your whole separate ones where you have your college football legends like your Tim Tebow's and um Mike and Marcus Vick, both of them, like both of them game changers. Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football.
The Pouncey brothers.
Yep, Pouncey brothers, like all of them. So go ahead and talk about a little bit of what's new. This show is going to be a little bit different because we're going to actually start our game picks. We're only going to do 5 of the 6 games this weekend. And honestly, it's not really a good week 0 schedule. None of them really are, but we do see 2 potential playoff contenders. We'll do what's new. We'll finish up my top 10 top 10 for my preseason poll. We'll each give our Heisman finalists, college football playoff finalists, top 6 for each, and then we'll get into the picks. But start off what's new. A lot has happened since we've last spoke. John Harbaugh's suspension, I believe, was lifted by the NCAA, so the 4-game ban. But then 2 days later, Michigan went around and suspended him 3 games on a self ban from Michigan. Do you see this causing any problems for Michigan this year, or you think it's just going to be smooth sailing?
No, like I said, we went over there first 4 games when they thought this was going to be a big deal, and I don't think it's not going to hurt them at all. I think it's more or less Michigan, the university, covering their ass, saying, okay, well, the NCAA didn't do anything, but let us be proactive.
Right.
Is
They
pretty much what I think.
Yeah, they got East Carolina at home, UNLV at home, Bowling Green at home. Now, East Carolina, they don't have their 40-year-old quarterback anymore, but they're always a team to
Oh
be
man,
reckoned with. But yeah, I agree. I don't foresee any issues coming out of that. And I think it was Michigan was doing it just to kind of save face a little bit. It was a dumb suspension in my opinion to start with, but whatever. It's not going to matter, I don't think, in the long run. If they do get upset by one of those 3 teams, that'll be the bigger story. Because this Michigan team is supposedly better than all the other ones. Other than that, we still don't know starting quarterbacks for 2 big schools. And which one do you want to start off with, Ohio State or Alabama?
We can start with the Ohio State.
State has a rising four-star in Devin Brown, who has been apparently lighting up the scrimmages and play in practices, and has been competing with Kyle McCord, who is supposedly supposed to take over because he was Marvin Harrison Jr.'s high school quarterback. Kind of have some immediate chemistry with them. But apparently, Devin Brown's been lighting it up. Um, do you think they have a quarterback already in mind, or do you think it's kind of just still a true competition? Like, do you think they already have the quarterback in mind? They don't want to say so it doesn't get in the transfer portal, or do you think there it
No,
really is a competition?
I don't. No, I don't. And I'll tell you why. I have both of these answers or questions for both teams. Do you think they're struggling in camp and they just
No.
don't want it to be known?
So I think at Ohio State, I think Kyle McCord's struggling a little bit, and Devin Brown's lighting it up. I think they're two different situations for Ohio State and Bama. I think that's the case for Ohio State, and I think at Bama they don't know because nobody has stepped up.
Right. But back to the Ohio State, I think they're going to go with the two quarterback system to see who plays the best. And then that's how they're going to end up picking their
Well,
QB1.
they have to do it before week 4 when they get to Notre Dame. I would assume.
Yeah, but they have three Mickey Mouse games up front that they can figure out who's going to take control of the offense.
Let's see who they have to start because I think you're right as well. I don't think they get in. I think Notre Dame's are first. Yeah, they got
I
Indiana,
think
Youngstown State, and then Western Kentucky might be a tricky one, man. I love Western Kentucky. Their quarterback is coming back. He threw all over the field last year. They're one of my G5 picks to be a potential upset alert for them. So if they don't get it picked up by week 3, that could be a conversation to be had.
they'll have it picked up by then. But I think in the first game, you're going to see both quarterbacks for Ohio State
Kind
split
of like you did
time.
with Michigan last year.
Yep, just to see who they think can be the leader of the team to, be that big spark plug on
Yeah.
offense.
I can see that. I can see that with Bama as well. To kind of go with Bama, to finish off the Ohio State conversation, I would like to see Devin Brown, um, because I've heard good things about him. Supposedly everybody likes him. He's a true leader, a little bit quicker on his feet. But this is the first year in a long time that Ohio State hasn't had a true quarterback since like the JT Barrett, or was it Cordell Jones? And
Cardell Jones.
Cardell Jones and Braxton Miller controversy back in shit. What was that?
Shoot, man, you can even
2009.
go back. You can even go back. Yeah, but you can even go back to like the Terrell Pryor days.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there was controversy. So, and we'll see, man. Like I don't know, but to start off with Alabama, they got to get it figured out a lot quicker because they got Texas week 2. Um, They got Middle Tennessee first, and I don't foresee that happening. I think Bama's defense is going to be really good this year. As I've already kind of alluded, it's going to be a running attack as well. I have a feeling they're going to go with Jalen Milrow, but Ty Simpson's up there, Buckner's up there, and Milrow. Out of those three, who would you kind of pick for them for Alabama?
Man, I think part of me wants to say Buckner because he has game experience.
Yeah, he just got. I was really high on him and Drew Pine both out of Notre Dame, but they never, in my opinion, they never really put it together. And I'm worried about being under pressure. They Alabama has a 4-star or a 5-star quarterback, 4 or 5-star quarterback who's been lighting it up, but he's a true freshman. And Nick Saban doesn't start freshman quarterbacks. Um, and he's already said that he's not going to play this year, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets redshirted. Um, but you think Buckner? You think Buckner because of the game experience?
Well, the only thing that I think Buckner lacks is that escapeness of the pocket that Milrow can bring to
Yeah.
Bama, more like a Bryce Young and
Simpson's
Jalen.
more like a Mac Jones, and then
Yeah,
Milrow's more of a running threat.
yeah. But see, if you go back to what past 2 to 3, possibly 4 years, the dual threat for Bama always helped them and it
Well,
got them
yeah,
out of games.
because it was Tua, Jalen, and um Wasn't it Tua, Jalen, and then Young, or was Coker in there?
He was a year
It
before.
was the
So
year
yeah,
before.
3 to 4 years.
So yeah, I mean, you're right. They've had the dual threats, but they don't have the weapons on the outside like they used to though. So that's just why I'm thinking they're going to go back to the 2017, 2012, 2011 style Alabama where they just run it down your throat.
No, they're going to go back to more like the 2009, 2010 Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
You know he's
They
getting
got
it.
three running backs that they
You
can
know,
just. Do you remember that? Do you remember that room? Kenyon Drake, was it Kenyon Drake, Mark
dude,
Ingram, Eddie
it was
Lacy?
stacked.
No, Kendrick Drake was later. It was Eddie Lacy, Mark Ingram, and somebody else. They did that a couple times too, because they had that with and that big boy Scarborough too. Scarborough was a stud
Scarborough.
too, yeah. He just
But
got
it's
hurt.
pretty much like, all right, here it is. We're going to run it down your throats. Are you going to
Yeah.
defend it to make us throw it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so as well. It'd be interesting to see. They'll get it figured out by week one. I don't have a Uh, they just have to get it figured out by week two because Quinn Ewers, I think, with that wide receiver room that he has, whew, that's going to be dangerous. They need to have somebody solid at quarterback by then. And then the last thing here and what's new for what's happened in the past week, like you called it, Peyton Thorne has been announced as Auburn's #1 quarterback after struggles in the scrimmage and in practice. Do you think that's the right call?
Yeah, I like it. I think he's got a fresh start. I think he's going to give Freeze a good jump in his Auburn debut. The only questions that I have with this is how consistent can he be, though? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is he a big time SEC talent that he's getting ready to go against? He's facing more talented defenses in
Right.
the SEC. This isn't the Big Ten.
No.
I mean, this is
Big
power.
Ten
This
has
is
some
power
good
South
defenses
football.
now. Big Ten's got some good defenses, but
Yeah,
you're
but
right.
they ain't better. They ain't better than the SEC.
I don't think so either.
Anybody in the SEC can win.
Yeah. There's three schools in the SEC, which I think is really interesting. They have former Big Ten quarterbacks. We got Graham Mertz, we got Peyton Thorne, and then we got who's the other one? Oh, Joe Milton at Tennessee. Out of those three, which one do you think is going to be the most successful?
Joe
Former
Milton.
Big Tens. Joe Milton, just because of his raw
Yeah.
talent. I worry
That
about
and he
him
got
because he's been a starter he's been in college football 5 years and he's only started 5 games. I just worry about that.
yeah, but he sat behind Hendon Hooker, so
He got a cannon
them
too.
two,
He can throw the
dude,
piss
he
out.
does. Oh my God, he can lace it.
See, I think Graham Mertz is going to do well in Florida's offense, and not saying anything against Anthony Richardson because Anthony Richardson was a stud. He just passing ability isn't. I think Graham Mertz has a better passing ability. They just lose the quickness on the feet, but we'll see. I think you're right. I think it is Milton. I think give Auburn a year or two before they get back into prominence. Their goal should be just trying to be 6-6 and make a bowl game this year.
Oh, hey, something just came across the screen on TV. Georgia running back Brayson Robinson's out for the year.
Do you know was he the starter?
I'm not sure. I caught the tail end of that
Let me
on the
see.
screen
Let me
watching
see
the little
here.
leaguers.
What was his name? Um, Branson Rob. Oh, he was a sophomore. He was towards the end. They got Kendall Milton and then Deshaun Edwards up there, and then they got two freshmen. So, in all honesty, it doesn't really matter because, I mean, they got the big boys up front. They can put you back there, and you can run for 1,000 yards at Georgia. I think so.
Well, I mean, as scared as I would be, yeah, I would run.
Yeah, like no shit, right? But you weren't good enough to play, so Um,
No, you're right. You're right.
all right, well, that's it that we have
Everybody hates a winner.
for what's new. We'll go ahead and knock out kind of like a finish of my preseason poll. And kind of to remind everybody, we'll go back down 11 through 25 before I get into the top 10 here. 11 was Texas, then Oregon, Washington, Notre Dame, Kansas, Utah, TCU, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Oregon State at 20, Wisconsin 21, Iowa 22, Texas Tech 23, Texas A&M 24, and then Tulane 25. So to go for the top 10 here, and Andrew, just let me know where you want me to stop, and we can have a conversation, or we can just go through them all first. At number 10, I have Penn State Nittany Lions. Number 9, I have the Tennessee Volunteers. Number 8, I have Clemson. Number 7, I have LSU. Ugh. Number 6, I have Florida State. Number 5, Ohio State. Number 4, Alabama. Number 3, USC. Number 2, Michigan. And then number 1 is Georgia. Do you have any issue with the top 10 there?
Yeah, I think you could drop Clemson a little further back to maybe the 9. And I could possibly see LSU ahead of Florida State.
Yeah, I put them there because they had such a good game last year. But Florida State's success in the transfer portal, excuse me, was the reason why I have them one step ahead. And I hate Brian Kelly. But yeah, so that was my top 10. Might do it again later mid-season or something like that, but like I had fun with it. Kind of, I'm sure it's going to look stupid by week 1, but it was always good to have that written down there as well. But we can go ahead and go in to our third segment here. Here we will list off 3 Heisman candidates each, and then pick the winner for those 3. So do you want to go first with your 3, or do you want me to go first?
Can we throw a wild card into this? Because I had a really freaking hard time with this.
For like a 4th one?
Yeah, just as a wild card.
Yeah, we can. I'll let you go first
How
then,
do you
so
want
I
to
can
do?
think of my wild card. But
You want
actually,
so
no, I
do you
don't.
want to? You want me?
I know who my wild card is. I'm good. So
All right. Do you want me to go? Then you go. Is that
yeah,
how you
it
want to do
doesn't
it?
matter. Yeah, go ahead. We'll let you go first for
All
this
right.
one, and then I'll do
So
college
the
football playoffs first.
top 3 finalists, I have JJ McCarthy as 1.
Ugh,
He's
gross.
only one of them.
He hasn't.
All right,
He
your
has
go.
only thrown over 200 yards passing 3 times in the last year.
Don't matter. Team wins.
Okay. I mean, that's a consensus. That's a consensus one for somebody to be in there. All right, what you got at number 2?
Oh, he's not the winner.
Yeah. Well, what's your second one? What's your second one?
I'm gonna go with Sam Hartman out of Notre Dame.
Ooh, I almost had him on my list.
I
I didn't
think,
have him. I didn't have him, but
yeah. And the only reason why I picked him over Sam Howell is not because of UNC.
or Drake
So
May.
before you even Drake May, whatever, before you even get me fired up on that aspect of it, I just think Hartman's got more of a well-rounded, complete team that can put him in the situations to be in a championship caliber
Bring him back.
to make his name, yeah, to make his name jump up the list.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
That,
I debated with him as well. I like that. I like that a lot.
so I had him, and of course you got to have Caleb Williams from USC.
Yep. And then who's your wild
For
card?
my wild card, Brock Bowers. God, I love him.
I like him too, but I can't put a tight end up there, man. Like I just can't. But so that's interesting. 3 out of your 4 I don't have on there.
Oh,
So
shocking.
that'll be interesting to see. Who do you think wins it in the end there?
Oh, dude, you got to go with Caleb Williams.
You think he was the first one back to back since 1975?
I don't want him to, but I mean, it's USC. If they even have half what of a great year, you know he's going to New York. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Notre Dame loses 2 games. Hartman's not going.
I don't think USC's uh preview. I don't think USC is gonna. I think they're gonna lose more than 2 games.
Mm.
um, but yeah, I mean, he'd be the one to do it. He's got all the talent, like you said. It's just, I don't know. There's so many good teams out there. I think Penix in Washington and Bo Nix at Oregon, and then Oregon State's defense. And then Utah. Like, I mean, we always forget about Utah. Like that's just a murderer's row, man. But
Well, I'm going to
then they
tell you
got to
right
play Notre
now.
Dame as well. They got to play Notre Dame.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you right now. If you have DJ on your list, I'm ending this conversation.
No, I don't. I don't have DJ. I should have put him as my wild card. But I'll go ahead and I'll start. I got Quinn Ewers from Texas, quarterback. I got Caleb Williams, USC. I think Texas is back, and I'll get into that. I think Caleb Williams, you have to, because he's just going to be that hot name like Bryce Young was last year. I think he'll have the similar type of season where his numbers are better, but his team loses more, so he doesn't win it. And then I got Marvin Harrison Jr. From Ohio State. I wanted to throw a non-quarterback in there that I could potentially see. And then my wild card is Drew Aller from Penn State, quarterback from Penn State. But I mean, you know who my winner is. It's Quinn Ewers. And that's the only way Texas has success is if Quinn Ewers does it. And we saw Quinn Ewers before he got hurt with Alabama. He was amazing. And then he just wasn't the same the rest of the season because he was playing hurt. Texas's offensive line is better. Their defense is better. Their receiving room might be the best in college football, second best outside of Ohio State. Um, I just think, and that'll allude to the later conversations when we talk about the actual playoffs. Um, I think Texas is fully back. Um,
I disagree.
Horns up.
No, I'm going to tell you why. Texas gets overhyped every stinking year,
And I could be
and
falling into.
some way, Sark always finds a way to blow at least three.
Yeah, I, I think this year is different, and I could be falling into that trap, like I was last
Okay,
year at Oklahoma State.
Mr. Nebraska, I'm with you.
Hey, you were high
I'm
in
with you.
Nebraska last year too. Don't you forget about that.
Well, I kind of fell for your shit on that. So
All right. Well, we'll talk a little bit about college football playoffs. If you remember last year, uh, I had my playoff predictors, and I can't remember who you had for yours. But last year, I had Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and Georgia going to the playoff. 2 out of the 4 made it. As you can remember, Georgia and Ohio State. So I was on 50%. I'll take it. But I didn't have the other two. I had Michigan in my top 10, but I didn't have the other two. This year, we were told to go with our top 6 with the 4 playoffs. And then we can talk a little bit about that because this is probably the biggest part of the show for this year because week 0 kind of sucks. So let's go ahead and actually let's just go ahead and do our game picks now, and we'll finish with the college football playoff. Um, so usually for newer fans, we'll do the game picks at the end, and then I'll give a couple locks of the week. But since it is week 0, there's only 5 games we're picking. Week 0 is kind of crap, and it's really jumbled schedule because most of them are around that 7 o'clock start time, 8 o'clock start time, which kind of stinks. But it is football, so we're not going to complain about it. But we got 5 games this week, so we'll go ahead and we'll start off with the first game. It's going to be happening at 2:30 over in Dublin, Ireland. Notre Dame versus Navy. Notre Dame is favored by 20.5 points. I picked Notre Dame. I think this is a coming out party for Sam Hartman. I think this is a coming out party for Marcus Williams. I think Notre Dame beats them and beats them bad.
I got Navy.
No, you don't.
No, I don't.
I was about to say, hold on. I'll edit this
I
out.
think
You want to repick?
I think Sam Hartman explodes. He goes off and he shows you what Notre Dame's really going to be capable of.
Yeah.
When they start playing some really good teams. So I got Notre Dame in that one.
Yeah, I do as well. But Navy's always tricky. New coach. They said they're going to keep the same type of formations, but we'll see. It's a shame because Navy's coach that just got fired was so good for 20 years, and um, it is what it is, I guess. Next game up, we have University of Texas El Paso UTEP versus Jacksonville State. Spread is even, so it's a pick 'em game. Who you got on this one?
I got Jacksonville State only because they were 4-1 in their last 5 games ending the season, and it's at home.
This one's tricky for me because I saw that Jacksonville State, if you guys remember, beat Florida State 2 years ago. Wasn't it? I believe it was 2 years ago. They beat them, and they beat them at Florida State for a warm-up game, and that's when I was calling for Mike Norvell's head. Um, but I have UTEP. The reason why I have UTEP has nothing to do with football, has everything to do with their colors. Um, I think the orange and the blue is pretty badass. They did well last season. They were a fun game to watch. I believe they versus Troy. Yeah, I think it was Troy in the bowl game, if I remember correctly. But no, that was UTSA. Never mind. Ooh, do I want to change my pick then? No, I'll say
Yeah,
UTEP.
you're getting them confused. You're getting them confused with the Roadrunners.
I do like UTEP's jerseys though, so I'm going to stick with UTEP. A little bit bigger of a school than Jacksonville State, but um, that one should be a good game. That one's on at 5, I believe. Next one we have got me last year. I thought the Rainbow Warriors could do it against Vandy, and then Mike Wright had a coming out party. I have Vanderbilt winning. Vanderbilt is favored by 17.5.
Yeah, I had Vandy as well. I think with all the hurricane stuff going on in Hawaii, kind of shifts their focus a
Flyers.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
I
picked
mean they're in
Vandy in
Nashville,
that.
so that doesn't. They've been in Nashville for a while now, um, but I agree. I think that if they have homegrown talent, which it's a second year head coach, they should be a lot better. If it was at Hawaii, I would say Hawaii's gonna win because of that, because of those same reasons. Okay. Next we have San Jose State at USC. USC is favored by 31 points. Ugh. I have USC. I'd be shocked if you didn't.
You're about to be shocked. I got San Jose for the upset.
Okay, so we both have
Not so fast. I'm
not
going
so
with USC.
yeah, there's not much to talk about the only question is how much better is the USC defense? Um, are you going to really see it versus San Jose State? We don't know, but if they have less than 10 points, I think it's a success. And then the final one of the night, the one that I think is going to be the most interesting game is FIU at Louisiana Tech. Um, FIU, I hope that they're wearing the Miami Vice jerseys, but I don't think they are. Did you see those, the pink and blue and black ones, like the Miami Heat
Yeah, they're
have?
pretty sweet.
I don't think there are since they're going to be at Louisiana Tech. This is the late game. This is the 9 o'clock game. Louisiana Tech is favored by 11. Who do you got?
I got I got La Tech.
I do too. Transfer wide receiver Dakotas Crawford, one of the greatest names in college football, is there this year, and so I think La Tech handles them pretty easily. Um, It'd be different if it was a northern school with that Louisiana heat, but it's not. And then some locks for me. These are some gambling locks of just basic gambling locks. Not recommended to take them, but if I were having mobile sports betting here in Florida, these are the ones that I would pick. I would say In the Navy versus Notre Dame game, I think Notre Dame is going to win by more than 20.5 points. I also think the point total is going to be over 49. For the San Jose State USC game, I think San Jose State actually covers. So I'll take San Jose State plus 31 points. So give me 31 points because I don't think USC's defense is there, but I still think USC wins easily. I also will have Louisiana Tech winning by more than 11 points as well. And then the final one is I have Ohio +2 versus San Diego State. Ohio sneaky good school. San Diego State's kind of fallen off. They're not the same as the Brady Hoke era, but still pretty good. Okay, so that's typically how our picks will go. Usually it's better games. Usually it's more back and forth with us. But let's finish this episode off a little bit early tonight. Let's talk about college football playoffs. Like I said before, we're going to go with the top 6 picks, and then the 4 playoff teams as well. Do you want to go with? I think we're both going to have number 1 position Georgia, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then I'll start it off here. I'll go Texas is my number 2. I think they go undefeated and they're the Big 12 champs. I have Penn State as my number 3. One loss Penn State to Ohio State, but they still are the champs. And then number 4 spot, this one was tough for me. So for number 4, there's plenty of teams, but I think it's in that scenario that we talked about with our Big Ten playoffs, that it's that one loss for everybody, and then the one loss team's better in the Big Ten is better than any other conference champs, and I think Michigan sneaks in at number 4. So I have Georgia, Texas, Penn State, and then one loss Michigan. Number 5, I actually have Tennessee, only losing to Georgia at home. And then they would be my one loss SEC team. They would be between Michigan and Tennessee. And then I have Notre Dame at number 6. Only loss is Clemson. And then to explain that, Pac-12 will kind of cannibalize themselves between Oregon, Washington, and USC, and Oregon State and Utah. I mean, there's 5 teams right there. I think each of them come out with about 2 losses. I think Clemson and FSU will cannibalize each other. They both will have 2 losses. I think Ohio State will also lose 2 games. I think they'll lose to Notre Dame and whether it's Penn State or Michigan. And then I think LSU and Bama lose at least 2 or 3. I almost put Bama at my number 4. But then I would have had Texas at 1 to kind of have that rematch of Texas, Alabama. But that's who I have is Georgia, Texas, or Georgia versus Michigan, 1 for 4, and then Texas versus Penn State.
Wow.
I'm super high on Texas and Penn State this year.
Oh boy. So I had Georgia 1. I had Michigan 2.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty scratch.
I actually had Bama at the 3 spot
Okay.
because it is Alabama.
Yeah. And if it is Nick
4
this year, like you were alluding to in the SEC show, they're gonna put him in.
Yeah. 4 was kind of hard for me because there's so many other teams that I could go with. But I'm just going off past history with this one. And I think it was more logic for me to pick this. Man, I have to go with USC. I
Didn't
just
you have
can't see them
Oregon or
fall.
Washington winning the Pac-12 though?
Yeah, but I'll get to that in a minute. I have them at 4 only because, wait a minute, all that stuff was, no, that's not even, this is my picks. You quit worrying about what I said before. I just don't see USC. I don't know. See, I had 5 Oregon and I had 6 Florida State.
I'm not going to argue with that. The only one that I would be Florida State. And I think I already explained why USC and Oregon maybe would be a question mark, but you're saying USC's defense is going to be better. And then Oregon, we know how good they are. I can see that as well. I feel like there's 10 teams that we can put in the top 4 this year. What I think is
That's what I'm
until we
saying.
can,
It's not an easy.
this year's a
I
lot
know
different.
it's a lot different, and I will say this: the only logical pick that I had that I'm sold on, if I'm just being 100% honest with you, is Georgia.
And you can't even really
That's the
be
only
that
one,
sold on Georgia because they're
and
taking,
you
in
can't
my opinion,
exactly.
I think Georgia is still the best team, but I don't think they're as good as the last 2 years. But I also think the last 2 years they had such a wide gap that gap has shrunk with about 7 or 8 other teams.
Right. But it's hard not to put Bama in there because of the history of Nick Saban.
He's never gone 3 years without a title shot.
That's what I'm saying. All right. Michigan, yeah, they've been known to lose
Well, your
games that
boy
they
JJ
lose.
McCarthy better lead them the way.
Oh, he will. Don't worry. But like I said, the 4, 5, and 6 to me was the hardest out of all those
Yeah,
because
I
there's
think
so many
so.
teams that I think there's so many teams in that 4 to 8 range that could easily hopscotch 2 or
Yeah.
3 others.
Yeah, I think so as well. If I was gonna go completely chalk, I would go Georgia, Michigan, Bama, Ohio State. But I just have these gut feelings about Texas and Penn State, man. I don't know
Yeah, I
why.
don't even I have Ohio State slipping to the 7 to 8 and Ryan Day on the hot seat or possibly resigns. I really do. I hate Ohio State.
Yeah. I think Wisconsin is gonna be the key factor in that. And I have a feeling Ohio State's gonna lose to Wisconsin. And like that's just
Oh,
I
I hope
think
they
they
do.
huh?
I hope they do.
Yeah. I think they lose to Notre Dame
Really want
or
to see.
Wisconsin, and then they lose to either Michigan and Penn State.
I want to see Ohio State lose at least 3 or 4 games so Ryan Day can be out of there. I really do.
Yeah, what I really struggled with, honestly, though, was what I just said was Wisconsin. I think is one of those teams that is super super sneaky because their schedule is going to be really easy. They have a solid defense. They have the most returning productions on offense. They have a new coach. Like if Tanner Mordecai can live to his potential, watch out for Wisconsin. I don't know, man.
See,
But
that's another thing. That's another thing too, though. I mean, you can honestly throw Washington into the mix as well.
oh, easily. I think you can throw Washington in there. I think you can throw I threw Tennessee up there. I think you can throw Notre Dame up there. I think you can even put Clemson up there as well.
Nah,
And if we
I don't think
really want to
Clemson's gonna be that
stretch,
good.
we're forgetting LSU and Texas A&M. And
Texas
your
A&M
boys
ain't no
down
good.
at
Jimbo's out.
and your boys down in Mississippi, Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Have they announced who their starting quarterback's gonna be?
No, it's gonna be Jackson Dart. They're not gonna go away from him. I would be very shocked. Which is interesting for Spencer Sanders to waste his last year there, but unless Spencer Sanders
You
decides
think
to go at wide receiver.
that's what I was about to ask you? Pull like a Jacoby Myers, come in at a quarterback and transform to a wide receiver?
Maybe. He's
I
electric
can see
enough.
it.
And then you can have trick plays because he's got a cannon.
How many years has Dart got left?
I think this is his last one. Walker Howard is going to be the quarterback next year.
Damn, that's a tough quarterback battle there.
Yeah, they got 3 good ones that could start, to be honest. Jackson Dart, Walker
No
Howard,
shit.
Spencer Sanders. So it's a good problem to have. Don't worry, they'll all be playing at Alabama next year with Good old Lane Kiffin coaching. So, all right, man. Well, that's it for the show. A little bit shorter of a show. Next week we'll talk all week 0 recaps. Do a little bit more of first reactions and kind of do more of a preview show for week 1 coming up. We might do more than 10 games, which is our normal. Kind of going on and seeing how we go. But thanks again, everybody, for listening, for subscribing. Be a friend, tell a friend, keep us expanding. We like to do this for fun. It'll get better and better each week and in each year that we do it. So we just appreciate you guys sticking here with us. All right, we'll see you next week.